Well, hello there and welcome back to the World Championship Series 2014 to our Europe Premier League. We're now in the round of 16, having already had 2 games down of our Group A matches, 3 still to go, and we've still got 2 spaces to find in the quarterfinals. Joined by Kalaris now after watching those first 2 games. Not quite the way we thought this might pan out. I was expecting this to be a little bit more exciting, but, you know, no disrespect to the 2 players that have won, but they've won very easily.
I felt that the second series might pan out like that after knowing quite a bit about VortiX's play style and stuff. I mean, I've been one of those people that's saying it's VortiX's time, it's VortiX's time, it's VortiX. Maybe this season it might be VortiX's time.
Maybe. I mean, all joking aside, great to see a European or a non-Korean playing really well against a great Korean.
Yeah, very, very good games. In the end, MMA obviously should know that VortiX is capable of these kinds of things, so maybe hunkered down a little bit quicker. It was obvious in that second game that, you know, just trying to take a little bit of a risk there and seeing how that panned out, but in the end, VortiX is on top of things.
Yeah, do you think, VortiX said in the interview that he went pool first because he didn't go pool first in the Vasicars game against him, and he just wanted to try and see if he could trip him up. And then MMA thinks, well, okay, I have no idea what he's going to do now, so maybe some of them, you know, good mind games, good playing of mind games between the 2 players, but particularly in favour of VortiX.
Yeah, that's just, again, that's the danger zone when it comes to playing against VortiX. The fact that he can do anything very, very well. There's really no kind of downsides to VortiX's play in this matchup.
He really can do anything well. He can do Twitter really well, which is what he's doing right now. Before we get into our next game, which is the upper bracket final, let's just check in with the bracket and show you how the matches have panned out. If you are just joining us, well, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say you haven't missed much. MVP, a bit of a bop over Bunny, 2-0, and VortiX, extraordinarily, a 2-0 bop over MMA. So we've now got the bop of the boppers, which is MVP versus VortiX in our upper bracket final for the first place in the round of 8. Interestingly enough, VortiX is on a bit of a tear as well in WCS Europe terms. This would be the 3rd consecutive WCS regional that he has made the quarterfinals. I know he wants to go at least 1 more, maybe 2 more rounds more, but that's an impressive record all of its own, in its own right.
Yeah, it is. The funny thing is, again, we looked at the numbers before and we were like, well, yeah, the MMA 9-1 against Zerg's really impressive. But then you've got MVP now, which is the second hurdle here for VortiX, who is 10-2 in WCS Europe and WCS statistics in general. So it's the matchup that MVP throughout the WCS system so far has played the most of, and he's always looked really strong. All you need to do is look back at the round of 32 and see how well he did there.
Yeah, absolutely. 4-0 sweep, 2 TVZs, no problem at all whatsoever. And decent enough players as well, maybe not on the calibre of VortiX, but decent European Zergs. This is a different kettle of fish, though. And VortiX right now, the one thing he does have against him is that he's 3-1 down against MVP head-to-head. Has never actually beaten him in an official match of Heart of the Swarm. So is that at the back of his mind, or does he just not care about that, right? Is he on such a rip right now that he's just going, so much confidence, I don't care who I play?
Well, the thing is that if for example, MVP presents too much of a challenge here to VortiX, he still has the other matchups left for him to be able to advance on through, and we just saw how well he did against MMA there. So even if MVP knows how VortiX is playing and is going to hunker down and be very, very strong, VortiX is still going to play out a long game and present a big challenge to MVP. But even if he can't get over him, there's still those consolation matches.
You heard him in the interview. He said he didn't really care whether this is a macro game or it's a cheese. He's comfortable in either. So when you get to that level, surely you're at the point where it doesn't matter who you play or what style they play anymore. I mean, I don't think he's scared of mech, is he?
No, I don't think so either. He plays such a versatile style that he'll probably be able to kind of overcome what is presented to him. But at the same time, you know, I still think that MVP has a very good shot. We can never doubt MVP in terms of his preparation and his practice.
Okay. Thank you very much, James. We'll check in with James in a little bit more. Keep your predictions coming, by the way, on Twitter. We are checking them out, and they are going to feature as part of the shows. Or anything else that you would like to tell us, whether you've enjoyed particular play from VortiX or MVP in their first 2 matches. And tell us who you might think will be the first man through to the round of 8. VortiX is on the verge of a little bit of history here at WCS Europe, because if he does make it through this match, he will be the first man ever to go to round of 8 3 consecutive seasons in a row. Let's go over to the commentary team for this one. Take it away, TNA.
TNA, wow, that's a new one. Thank you very much, Red Eye, and welcome to the casting desk here. And we are in the winners match of Group A, the first day the round of 16 here. And I'm quite excited for this one. This should be a very good game.
Did you see the smile, the smirk of VortiX when he did the interview and when he was asked about his opponents?
Yeah.
I know that smile. That smile means I know a lot, but I'm not going to say much because I want to win and I don't want to reveal too much. So I actually think he's done so much homework on his opponents that he knows a lot more than he admits to. And, well, it showed in the first series that he played here because he completely crushed MMA.
Well, here is the map veto process. One could imagine that we'll be seeing the unfriendly mech maps disappear here for MVP, who's most likely going to be approaching this series in that fashion. Daedalus already out from him, and we'll have the second out the way. And I think you bring up a good point there, is that as much and as scary as MVP is as a player and how unpredictable he is, and VortiX is going to have prepared at least something to approach MVP, because we know that Bunny and MMA are going to play very similar, but this guy's going to play very different, and VortiX wouldn't overstep that.
Yeah, so you think MMA max 100%?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in it.
You think VortiX Swarm Host?
Yes.
Okay, you've casted one of the best Swarm Host players, in my opinion, against MVP, Snoot. And MVP was able to win that, so what do you make of that? After having seen this and going up against MVP's mech, does VortiX think he can do better?
The one thing that VortiX will have to look out for is little special things that MVP can do, which he did against Snoot, like Blue Flame Hellion attacks, because that was just an instant win, basically, for MVP. So as long as VortiX is on top of his scouting and is able to find out if there are any tricks like that, is it Blue Flame, is it Cloak Banshee, and as long as he knows 100% what is coming his way, then I would, feel decent for him.
3 two-players map, 3 small maps, 3 maps where mech and Swarm Host could be pretty good. 3 maps on which I will probably rage quit if I had to play Stefano on.
And I want you to take note, everyone, at the percentages of these players against their opponent's race. 82% here for VortiX against Terran players. It's his most comfortable matchup and pretty much always has been. I think there was a period last season that he was very comfortable against Protoss, but right now he's on fire. But MVP stats, look at that again, 83% against Zerg. He went 4-0 in the group stage in round 32, killing both Zerg opponents. And last year he went through Rhett and a couple of other players as well, maybe Demaga as well. And has always just looked very comfortable and has always been very precise and very deadly.
Yeah, these two, they faced each other once before, and funnily enough, it was back here in Cologne in 2012.
Yeah.
VortiX was able to beat Supernova 4GG, but then fell to MVP with 1-3 in the best of 5.
I think it was a semi-final. If it's a best of 5, then it most likely would have been in Wings of Liberty back then.
Yeah, round of 4.
That was a period.
Good memory, Sean.
And do you know what? Also, I remember the strategies too that both of them used. Boom!
Go ahead.
VortiX played pretty standard for then. It was always the same, like Ling, Bailey, Mulus. But that was the period when MVP was on top of the world with Hellion Banshee play in mech. Back then too, it was like Hellion Banshee, fast third base, and double armory, which is a style which has come back into fashion recently in this matchup. So it's funny to think that 2 years ago, when that style became popular, these two played, and then fast forward 2 years when the style has come out again, really. And we definitely could see it from MVP.
The metagame, man. There's a glitch somewhere.
Yeah, it's come back around.
I really wonder if... well, this guy he's the Cucaracha, man. That's his nickname. Do you think there is any chance we see something like Mass Roach with drop being used? I think in one of the games.
Yeah.
VortiX has shown that in at least one of the games of a series, usually more in a best of 5 than in best of 3, because I guess you have a lot more room to try stuff, is willing to do very, very risky builds and tell himself in advance, you know what, if this works out good, if it doesn't, I'm going to have more games to outplay this guy.
No, I think we could see something like that. And one of the big reasons for that as well is because the way to play against mech is Swarm Host and Mutalisks. But if we remember to Firecake, who, in all honesty, played a very good game against MVP on Frost. The sickest of reference, the round of 32 World Championship Series reference. But on Frost, he played a really, really good game, but he didn't know how to deal with MVP's tucked in tight, full base, go all the way up to Battlecruiser Raven Viking. Because he was using Swarmos, he was using Mulus, which you're meant to use. So because of that, unless VortiX knows something that, a lot of other Zerg players out there don't know yet on how to deal with that style, we could see something to end the game early, such as these roach drops you present. Okie doke, time for the winners match. Spain versus Korea. Don't get to say that too often. It's usually Korea versus Korea. But it is a Spanish man, and here he is down at the south side of Polar Night as the red Zerg. Playing for Mouse Sports, as always, is VortiX. And he's playing really, really well right now. That's my description. And then up here to the north, there's the blue Terran. It is the Game Genie Terran, is the blue Terran. It's MVP, the sickest of intros ever.
You know, as much as you say we don't get to see Spain versus Korea often, considering VortiX's shape right now, unless he suddenly retires out of nowhere, I think we're going to see it often.
We're going to see that Spanish flag a lot over the next couple of weeks.
No, you mean the foreigner flag.
The foreigner flag, the Spanish flag, the foreigner flag. Yeah, definitely. I actually managed to speak to Daishi just now as we were watching the previous game. He said that he's pretty confident that VortiX is like #1 non-Korean right now. Over the likes of players like Snoot, TLO, Scarlet. He thinks VortiX is the #1 right now.
You know, as much as I feel it's very easy when somebody is playing well to say, oh, you know what, he's the new best foreigner, I think we're going to have to wait until we see Snoot in action, because this guy has been pretty sick as well. But yeah, VortiX right now really looks to be on form, and that was a gas 11, by the way. Can't help but notice. Do you think?
Yeah, 3 Reapers.
3 Reapers? I'm glad you're here, because I'm not going to do the analysis on this.
It's 12 gas, which is the usual Reaper expansion, which used to be 2 Reapers. Has now gone to 11. I think it was maybe Fantasy or someone from Pro League who used it first. And a lot of Terran players enjoy it. You get a lot of damage done. Drones, Lings, Queens. You got to scout if your opponent has a gas or not, depending on how long you can keep out there. But it's good. It's quite standard now.
You use it too?
I do.
Well,
and I like it.
What's the best follow-up? Just standard factory and then the 3rd command center, or?
Yeah, 6 Hellions with the 3 Reapers, and if you can preserve all the units, you become a really, really powerful Terran. If you keep all 3 Reapers alive, then you keep the Hellions alive, and then what you can even do is then keep them all alive and then come out again with 16 Marines and 2 Medivacs. In an ideal world,
Sean.
it is a sick plan, and that's what every Terran hopes to do. The funny thing is, the majority of us watching this right now never do that. Only the top players do. But that's ideally what MVP will probably be aiming for. He may add in Banshees with this too, of course, knowing his style.
All right. Looks like he wants to throw down that 2nd command center ASAP.
Yeah.
And I guess... Hey, he didn't scout, actually. I'm just realizing now.
Yeah, the first thing he'll go in now for the scout is the gas. He'll look in and be like, all right, do I have a timer on these units, or can I be around forever? Sees a lack of no gas, and with this harassment, we'll see the other one as well. So he's actually got a lot of time to do quite a bit with these, and eventually it's just going to have to come down to Queen defense.
I guess you're happy if you see no gas there, because the 3 Reapers, they're going to be able to stick around and do a lot of damage throughout the times.
Yes.
And do you think MVP did this build because he knows that VortiX doesn't like to open gas?
I think he did it anyway. I think he used it almost every game in the round 32 too. But yeah, with seeing no gas, he basically says, all right, I don't have to leave at the 6-minute mark or 6-minute 30 mark, which is the standard time you have to leave if the gas has been taken. So we should see a lot of damage being dealt. MVP actually used these Reapers really well when he was playing from Korea to Europe. So I'm expecting nothing less than that this time around.
Yeah, playing with, I guess you could say, no delay at all here. Definitely going to be nice.
Yeah, and look at this, he's even found the 2 Lings that Zerg players do to hide, to come and snipe the SCV building the command center. So
of course he did, he's MVP.
He's MVP, man. He's the Game Genie Terran. That's why he was nicknamed this. He sees these things.
Boom.
And the 3rd command center coming in here from MVP. No signs so far of mech or anything, because he hasn't taken the 2nd gas yet, but it's actually just thrown down as I say it. So with the 2nd gas coming in here, most likely looking towards a Banshee. Whether it be cloakless or not, depends on if he wants to dedicate to that upgrade. But these Reapers, I mean, they have got no drone kills, I don't think. No drone kills, just link kills so far.
Yeah, and VortiX is starting to take off in the drone counts pretty well. I have to say, VortiX's shape really shows through his creep spread and inject.
Yes, yeah.
He's not missing a single one. And the Ro16 is going to be spotted here. And yeah, with the starport behind, quite likely we might see the tech lab goes down in the barracks. That one Banshee you talked about earlier. That little cheeky Banshee. How many does he get, you think? Does he get Cloak? And how many Banshees? 2, 3?
At least 2. 2, I think, is the minimum. Cloak is, I don't know, it depends on if he wants to get faster upgrades or not, for if he plays mech or something. But he's got 2 Widow Mines, which is interesting. And 2 Widow Mines here can be used defensively, but he doesn't need them defensively, because obviously he's seen his opponent's got no gas, so they're going to be used aggressively. He can actually plant it down if he's able to keep the drone away from the 3rd base long enough to super delay a 3rd base from being taken here.
Wow, this is quite some great play we're seeing here out of MVP. I'm glad you're explaining everything, but because I would have missed a lot of that. Smoke is actually going to be made. I thought for a second he might not go for it because he didn't have much gas, but I guess it costs less gas than before. I'm still trying to get over that myself. And how much time does this buy him? I guess Lair is not going to take... Well, Lair is not too close.
That's the thing that MVP will probably need to scout in this game is the Lair.
You think VortiX would have wanted to throw down his third hatchery now if he wasn't getting the Lair?
Yes, if he wasn't getting the Lair, absolutely. Probably even faster than this, but he chose his Lair fast, which actually plays into what MVP... Well, it helps VortiX out, because he didn't dedicate to go to a third, even though MVP's trying to block it. But we have 1-1 upgrades on the way, and it's going to be, from what it looks like, a very heavy roach play. Like, he can build a lot of roaches from 2 bases.
Yeah. And that's what we know. Mine on the left-hand side just blew up a drone that was headed there, so I guess no. VortiX knows he has to get an overseer to remove that. He already got one. It's cool that VortiX was able to spot the tech lab in the starport, like he was able to make the spores to make sure it doesn't take any damage, or at least he's safe against that Cloak Banshee, but we've seen those Korean players able to get in there, find corners where the spore can't shoot and do damage, and Cloak was cancelled because of this, by the way. MVP knows that he's been spotted, he reacts correctly and cancels the Cloak. I like this move as well. Double extra factory being added.
Interesting that he's choosing not to add on more Banshees, though, especially considering that his opponent is looking like he's about to do a two-base Roach play, because this is very unorthodox. A very fast Roach Warren, double Evolution Chamber, and Banshees are great against Roaches, obviously.
Do you think he's worried about like mass queens or like some kind of Muta play? Muta are kind of out of the question, I guess, at this point.
Yeah. Two-base Muta, not too common, really, but he's building tanks, and to be honest, I think that MVP's in good shape against these Roaches being built. There's a lot of them being built, but on 2-base, he can hide behind his wall, he can have tanks on the high ground.
He's getting dropped!
Alright, he's gonna go over the walls.
I predicted it, man.
You did,
As much as your analysis has been good throughout the entire game, I just made one smart comment.
And it's right.
And then it fails.
You know, it's all about quality of the comments, man. I've been speaking a lot, but yours has been quality, man. But here comes the Roach play. So MVP's obviously going to be kind of expecting this, but he's only got 1 tank.
What the hell? He's not seeing this coming. He's sending back the Banshee now. Is he really going for the counter-attack with these aliens? VortiX has blocked so well back at home. Those units from getting in. Yeah,
these Roaches are just going to go straight through. He's got nothing there. Only a single tank at this point. 1 Banshee, Hellions on the other side. MVP could just die to this. Well, it looks like he is going to just die to this. He's losing so many SCVs. The Hellions and Reapers come back, and I thought he may have seen it in the middle of the map here, but it doesn't look like it. SCV's coming off to be the meat shield for these tanks, but...
Who's there, man?
Oh, man. Spain is on fire right now. And, well, that's the last tank gone down. There's only a single Banshee up there to do all this damage. There's more Roaches on the way. Didn't even need Ventral Sacks. It's such an...
He's going to finish after.
Just GG, and VortiX is able to pick up map number 1 there. Wow.
I like how this is one of those games where like the player gets on Twitter after it and just like tweets easy, like 2 letters.
Like, easy. Easy. Do you think that MVP's... maybe MVP didn't read into it as much as what we thought?
I think MVP was playing this really well up until the point where a lot of roaches were made. He didn't spot exactly how many there was.
Yeah.
And most of all, he didn't see the move out because he didn't have the watchtowers. All of his units were on that 3rd base trying to pressure.
Yeah.
And I actually wonder if VortiX was going to commit no matter what, or if he realized that's what was happening. I guess he was getting the units, so he was going to attack no matter what.
So in a certain aspect, could have been a little bit fortunate there for VortiX, so that it worked out so well for him.
I liked a lot of the things that MVP did, but this was a very, very strong timing no matter what.
Yeah.
VortiX knew exactly that because there was a 3rd command center, there was a starport, Cloak had been started, even if it gets cancelled behind, those extra factories were going to be very, very late. So he knew that Roach timing here was going to be very good. And even if it had not been, I think he could have just pulled back, waited for Ventral Sacks to finish, and then dropped. By the way, did he get pneumatized Carpus? Because I'm not even sure.
I don't think he did. I didn't see it.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if like it drops? He didn't have any overlords nearby too. It's like a single overlord drops in the main, like 4 roaches, and then he burrows them or something.
It's like a way to be cheeky as the Zerg player because you know it's going to work, but it's so slow and so painful that for the Terran to see it happening.
It's like that old... like 1-base lurker build where you get quick drop.
Oh god, I hated that so much. I lost to that a lot. Oh god damn it.
You think MVP did too?
Yes, I know he did as he was growing up. Everyone lost to that build at least once if you played Broodwar. All right, so map number 2 now. Heavy rain between these 2 players. VortiX just completely on fire so far. looking absolutely fantastic. And MVP drops his first map of the entire season to date in 2014, where the road to the global finals begins later on in this year. So down here in the bottom right-hand side, up 1-0, just needs one more in this best of 3 as the Red Zerg player playing for Mouse Sports. It's VortiX, the Devourer of Worlds. I recorded that earlier. I actually didn't do that live. I got this little box and playsies thing, they say. And up here is the blue Terran player playing for Incredible Miracle. It's, of course, MVP. That was live.
He loses a map and he's not the Game Genie Terran anymore? Like, no hype at all during that intro?
This is MVP.
Wow.
I gotta stop bringing people's hopes up. I gotta bring them back down again. You know, MVP's losing this series, and I keep repeating that every 30 seconds. Like, remember, guys, VortiX is leading, but MVP is losing this. 0-1.
Did you hear earlier what I asked to Kailaris, by the way? I asked him, who does he think is his Korean twin brother Zerg?
Oh, you're gonna ask me?
Yeah, I want to ask you.
Sulky, straight away.
It's funny because I was thinking like somebody like Sulky or Curious, because right now, VortiX, I mean, I'm not the most knowledgeable Zerg out there. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. VortiX, no matter what he does, he makes it work, which I guess, if you're a top Zerg, it's going to be the case most of the time. But just his play in general, the way he drones, the way he reacts to everything, and his defense. His defense is so good.
He's just the complete package, which is what we look at Sulky as, the complete package of can do anything and everything. He's all-round solid, he can be aggressive, he can be defensive, he can play Swarm host, he can play Mule, he can do anything. So I definitely think Sulky is the best comparison to VortiX.
MVP going for Command Center first year. Remember Season 1, he was going for that CC on the high grounds, and then some just standard opener, some Marines, a factory into standard play. Now he's going CC on the low ground.
Yeah, which is a little bit dangerous still against the spawn and pull first hit that we see from VortiX, which is really common recently in Zerg versus Terran for Zergs to do this. It's easier to get the Queens out against Reapers and so on. It's great versus 2-rack, so it's got a lot of benefits. It's obviously not quite as economically friendly as a hatchery first here. But in this regard, MVP's got to be a little bit careful here. You usually go for 2 Marines. There's only 2 Lings being built, so shouldn't be too bad. If there was more than 2 being built, then I would have been a little bit worried he'd have to pull SCVs, but it should be okay.
Yeah, VortiX here is probably going to go into drone-heavy mode. Do you think any chance he takes a quicker third than usual against this, or you think he just gets the usual 4 Queens and double gas at 5:30?
It would be usually a quicker third. You don't have as fast as Reaper and Hellion thread as you do normally. So yeah.
Oh, he gets a single gas in his main at 4 minutes.
The weird thing is, with seeing a single gas from VortiX at this time, in the last couple of games I've seen him play, it's always been aggression. It's always not like a roach baneling attack, but it's usually been about 8 to 10 roaches, where he puts on pressure versus the command center first, kills SCVs, and then just continues to drone behind it. And I really think it could be that again.
I was going to say it's probably for speed while taking a third, but I guess it doesn't really make sense because he doesn't need speed and he couldn't do any damage with it.
We could see roaches from this. Definitely could see roaches.
Well, he's VortiX, I mean.
I know. Yeah, he does like his roaches.
He should rename to Cucaracha, man. If I was him, I would totally do that. Imagine
if a fan made art of roaches dancing with Spanish hats on, whatever they're called, the Spanish hats, just dancing around and stuff, because the sombreros, you know, that would be pretty sick. I'd like that, because and then VortiX dancing in the background where he's devouring everyone else, like in that GIF that was made. That was such a fantastic.
Dude, roaches don't devour people. Roaches, they don't devour stuff.
No, it'd have to be VortiX, the actual GIF, the actual VortiX paint-made thing in the background there, just eating people. Fast layer.
Yeah, what do you make of this?
Oh, excuse me. A little bit more uncommon. I was expecting maybe roaches to come from the gas. With a fast layer here.
You think she's always taking 4 gases?
Yeah, it could be 2 base Mutalisk, even though it's not as common. MVP likes to go Hellion Banshee, and fast Mutalisk is usually pretty good against that.
So you think he's anticipating that third command center, and in that case, he will be right. And I remember doing a tutorial on this fast Mutas against quick third command center with Mr. Bitter.
Yeah.
He was like the most passionate guy about it. He's like, oh, that build is great. You just get Mutas, you get out there, you do some damage while you macro and stuff.
Yeah, this is really good. I mean, he doesn't need, well, he's not worrying about blue flame Hellions, or he's not worrying about excessive amount of Hellions coming and running past. And he's just going straight up. So in a regard, it is a little bit risky here, but this can really pay off well. It depends on if it's scouted. He throws down the Roach Warren, which
Any chance we see? Oh, okay, no.
It should still be the Spire.
I was gonna say maybe a Nidus or like quick draw, but
definitely
I guess
could have still been. Yeah, definitely still could have been. But he's created a wall here with a Roach Orange Spine and 2 Queens to make sure that the Hellions don't run by, considering he doesn't have Zergling speed, doesn't have Roaches, he only has Queens. And as good as Queens are at pushing this back, they're really slow and terrible at stopping the Hellions getting into the drone line. So he's made that wall. And it now comes down to MVP, can he read into this?
Well, if Cloak completes and like he loses, say, 1 or 2 Banshee doing nothing, he's going to be quite far behind.
This is a really good setup.
This is what VortiX... Oh, he's going to miss the Spire with the scan. The Spire is so nicely placed.
Yeah, he sees the late Zergling speed and also the layer done already.
You think just from seeing the lair, he's going to be able now to realize what he's up against? He sees that there is no third being attempted here by VortiX and that there is this wall with Queens.
The Roach speed's a little bit tricky here. So I think if it wasn't for Roach speed being researched, which he can see with the Hellions or did see, then he might be thinking the same's happening again because it was so successful.
He might cancel as he starts making the mutas.
Yeah.
He can get 7 mutas then.
I wonder if MVP's reading into this. So far, not. He's got no engineering bay. He's got no armory. He's got no anti-air.
How did that drone sneak away on the 3rd base, by the way? There was Hellions in front. Ninja.
It was like on a surfboard on the creep, just like slid past down the right-hand side and decided to throw that. But MVP's not reading into this. He's building Marauders. He's getting concussive shot. I think he thinks it's the Roaches again. I think VortiX is inside MVP's head, which is really weird considering MVP is the king of being in that mind frame.
Man, we've seen VortiX win with Baning, Muta, standard play. Oh, he misses. Did he miss? He missed?
He sees it. And now I've been in this situation before, and it's not good. It is not good. Now you're like, oh my god, I don't have anti-air. He starts a Marine.
He starts an eBay.
Marines.
He's gonna take a while.
3 mines. He's like, no. This is not the way that MVP dies. And he always speaks to himself in 3rd person MVP. Always 3rd person.
Oh, he says, look, a lot of Marines queued from the barracks. He's going to be getting Widow Mines 3 by 3, but they're going to take a while to get out. How many SCVs does he lose here? He's going to lose a ton.
He's going to lose all of them if he's not careful here. This is terrible, terrible, terrible position to be in. Hellions, this is pretty good though. He needs to transfuse that Queen, and he does hit it. And he misses the other one, though. Yeah, he missed that one. He could have kept the wall alive.
No Mutas back at home to defend. 5 Roaches on the way. The Queen's really going to help against the Banshees. There is no Cloak, remember. It was cancelled again.
Well, it's 1 base Terran right now because the main is just out of working order. And these units are getting pushed back. Queens are getting rid of the Banshees with no Cloak. But look at the supply difference. 87 to 50 supply between the both. There is 13 drones killed. That's pretty good. But 25 SCVs and even more going down. I think we can say this is a very successfully played out Game 1 and also Game 2 from VortiX. Back to 50 drones immediately, with 6 more on the way.
Ooh, the Widow Mine. We've seen this.
Yeah, I mean, Revival
turning games around.
That Revival Jack-G series from the World Championships to the Intel Stream Masters.
Well, at this point, even if MVP killed all of those Mutas, he's half of the workers of VortiX behind. And we saw those Roaches out on the map. Yeah, MVP actually moved his Widow Mines. I like this move. But he's going to need the best splash he's ever gotten against those.
Imagine 1 Roach go forward and tank it. Do it. Hit for the team, guys.
I think he knows this might be there.
Wow, he's just going to go for it anyway. Oh, nice split there.
Wow.
Minimizes the splash damage. There are 2 Marauders, though. A tank and Widow Mines there. So MVP will hold the front door here. But with 11 more drones on the way and still multiple holes inside the main base. So Widow Mine does go off on the Mulus, but to what end, really, is that going to do? Because they just heal up in a couple of seconds.
So much more supply for VortiX here. He's going to drone a little bit behind his CE. Always saturates the gases on his new bases so quickly. Quicker than any other Zerg I've seen. I think there's any chance Solky's watching this and he's like, man, this kid VortiX is pretty good. Just like Jaedong was with Stefano.
Yeah, maybe. And it's funny because VortiX was saying, you know, at the start of this year, I just analyzed other Zerg players. Imagine if that other Zerg player was Sulky and now Sulky's watching. He's like, he plays like me. He's trying to be me. There is only one Sulky. But VortiX absolutely on fire. And MVP struggling here. And in this position as VortiX, and just as a professional player, you're like, all right, man, I'm winning this. I'm going through, but
we've all seen Tefl against MVP, though.
Yes.
That was a greater recovery than what could happen here, because MVP is still keeping on supply, by the way.
And with mech, you can easily recover. I mean, the thing is with recovery of mech, as long as you can still get to that army supply that you want and still build that army that you want, you can still win fights. It's just that VortiX is going to start banking a lot earlier because he's going to max out faster.
Question, why is he getting a Raven? And it's a trick question, I know the answer.
The answer? Because of potential borrowed roaches and stuff?
Because he can.
Because he can. All right, yeah, that makes sense too, man, because MVP can do what he wants. All right, well, how is VortiX going to close this one out? If he does, he's going through in first place.
Would you agree, drop, ventral sacks, and like a huge raw drop would have been able to close this out, maybe?
He might go swarm hosts still. It depends. I mean, he in a position like this, I suppose you can do anything, but
Yeah.
I think he's just going to max out and just go for a big attack. Because on a map like Heavy Rain, where the third base will eventually want to be taken by MVP, it's pretty spread out. It's pretty wide open. So it looks like he'll
hurts.
just come for a big splash in, but I think his core should always be swarm hosts usually with these upgrades.
But
and
don't you
stuff.
think this is a bit weird the way VortiX has done this? Because he made Zerg flyer attacks level 2 and missile attacks level 2 as well, and he's getting roaches plus mutas. It's not Ling Muta. This is not really a composition you go for in this situation.
Yeah, he's just going to come smashing through. I guess you always just want to keep the attack upgrades coming for Mulus and stuff, but with the roaches, he's going to smack through this. There's hardly any units. The MVP's SCV count being so low throughout all of this.
The Raven, man.
The Raven comes in. What is he going to do? It can detect anything, but there's nothing to detect anyway. But MVP does hold on. But as you can see, in a position where VortiX is probably at like 80 drones or so, 70 drones, 80 drones, he can throw units away and trade off against a player who's on 2 base compared to 4.
But I thought this would go better, considering the supply he had. But I guess most of that is in walkers. And MVP's position and defense here was great.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is going to delay the third base, because I think VortiX might be, he's going to force a lift here. And MVP, he does not want to rush too early into that third base, because he knows he could get attacked and lose a lot here.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised he's not placing tanks on the high ground. Oh, he's going to do that now.
Could see like Roach Hydra Viper by the looks of it potentially. Well, going up to the hive here.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the case, VortiX is just going to build a lot of crap. He's got a fantastic income. He knows that MVP is struggling to build a high amount of units, and MVP is holding on. Looks like VortiX is going to go ahead and expand to another base. MVP scans, and to be honest, that's a bit of a misleading scan there. You see that, you're like, oh, his economy's not that good.
Yeah.
It's not fully saturated, at least.
It's funny how when VortiX takes a base, he makes the extractors at the same time. Like, he knows this is going to be very important. He already has enough minerals. He wants to focus on the gas.
Yeah. Well, can MVP's defense win through? He just needs to hold on until he's at 200 supply and just not die to the crazy amount of waves that we're going to see from VortiX
He
here.
has a lot of money, actually. Where is his extra factories? He should be on 5 factories by now. What is going on?
How many factories is he on? 3?
He's been hanging out too much with Starson, man.
Yeah, that's true. He definitely should add on a couple more factories at this point.
There we go, too.
Yeah. But
With the armory as well.
it's
But
going to be very difficult to hold on versus this Viper attack.
where does he get a second armory? He's not going to have all that much gas, and he already has 1 upgrading +2. Does he need armor? This is a bit weird.
Yeah, looks like
I mean,
he
I
just
don't-
wants to go up to it.
I don't want to be overly critical of MVP, but a few of his choices here are a little bit questionable, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Can he salvage the bunkers?
He needs to throw all his resources into his army at this point, but with the Vipers coming out here, with the correct blinding clouds, maybe some pulls to get rid of some of these stalls or something at first. We'll see, though. MVP's climbing up. 150 supply isn't bad against a 200 supply Zerg. It's not great. But
The amount of lava is behind is 45, so even if this army evaporates from VortiX, as long as he trades decently, he's going to be able to reinforce quite well.
And that's the key. You've got to hit soon, because if you don't hit soon, then you won't trade efficiently. So you can throw units away. They just MVP will be like, all right, cool, that's fine, because the tanks get too high. But here come the Vipers, and is he going to, I suppose, there's not that much anti-air. There's quite a few Marines around, though, and mines. It's going to be hard to land the right blinding clouds.
He's waiting for muscular augments to complete, maybe. Oh, actually, those Vikings are going to move out. There is a single Hydralisk in the middle of the map. One of those gets sniped immediately, but he goes for it.
All right, well, how is this fight going to shape up? Because 2 of the Vipers are down already. 1 blinding cloud gets launched in here, and the tank spread's pretty good from MVP. The upgrades are fantastic from VortiX, and he is going to power through here, and he is going to break the front line. And with breaking the front line is access to the tanks, and that's the expensive
the
part
Raven.
of all this.
Come on,
And quite
something.
a lot goes down there. The Raven does nothing. Point defense drone. And aside from that, this is a victory from VortiX, because look at what's coming again. 70 more Hydralisks and 12 more Roaches. The trade was good. It was a good trade. He lost a lot, but that's all he needs to do here. Remember, MVP's main base and Natural's almost mined out.
Why do you think VortiX got Enduring Locust as he was attacking here? Plan C or Plan D?
Yeah, guaranteeing the win no matter what here. If these waves don't work, he'll go over to Swarm Host, which he doesn't really want to do in this game. He doesn't want to slow the pace of it down. He knows he's winning, knows he wants to end it, so definitely plan C, D, E.
This is a small pack of units attacking by itself here, by the way. This is going to get kind of crushed.
He's got to be careful not to lose too many units here.
Oh, the tanks are too spread out. Those few tanks in the back are not shooting right now.
And the new Hydralisk change taking the impact in this game as the Hydralisk come in and clear up everything. And there's only 1 or 2 tanks left. That's not a lot. And MVP is dying here versus VortiX. And it looks like we are going to have a Spanish first place finisher in the round of 16 here. And that allows us to potentially have the MVP MMA game still. Look on the bright side of things, MVP fans, as VortiX comes in. We'll clear up the last couple of units here. MVP holding on with everything that he has here. I think he's a bit morally defeated here. 0-2, but whatever the case, the game is over. GG. VortiX, 2-0 MMA, 2-0 MVP. The 2 giants in Group A here. VortiX goes through easily.
Would you say VortiX devoured him?
He devoured him. I want to see a new GIF with MVP and MMA now being devoured by the Devourer himself. And it's funny because the Devourer of Worlds was technically cast.
No, he's the Destroyer.
Oh, he's the Destroyer. Okay, I'm sorry. I messed
Okay,
up.
who would win? The Destroyer of Worlds or
Right now, the Devourer easily.
So VortiX will devour the Destroyer?
Yes.
Okay.
MVP.
I'm glad that has been sorted.
VortiX looking great. MVP started well today, but met his match here. VortiX continues to perform well and lives up to his statement of where he said he can go top 2 here. So you know what? If he did this a little bit better, he could be on my level, but he didn't, so he's not. Congratulations to VortiX and, of course, Mouse Hero Marine came to support him today, his teammates. And I think they'll be enjoying each other's company for the next half an hour, celebrating that win. And a first place finish here from VortiX. And as Red Eye mentioned, he gets, is it 3 times now, top 8 in a row. Fantastic performance here from VortiX. And he's challenging to go the distance here.
I think it's great what we saw out of VortiX. Again, as you said, it's the whole package right now. We saw Bailing attack into a standard game, a Zergling Bailing. We saw Roaches with drop being attempted. Game ended before, drop completed. And now, going for the quick mutas, transitioning into Roach Hydra Viper to close it out. I have to say, this might have been a better choice than what we originally thought was the best scenario of going for Roach drop in that game to close it out. And very, very impressive display of skill here by VortiX. His practice really shows.
His practice shows through and he goes through in first place. And now that leaves us with 3 Terrans to fight it out to see who will go through in second place. MMA, MVP and Bunny. 3 players, only 1 slot remaining here in Group A. I'm going to hand it over to Red Eye, who is ready for the post-match interview.
Thanks, Sean. VortiX, congrats. Brilliant. I don't know what really to say other than just how many Weetabix did you have this morning? Because it seemed like you've had 3 today.
Yeah, 3, most likely.
Did you, in your wildest dream, and be honest with me, and I know you've played some good mind games today, so don't try and trick me here. Did you honestly look at that group and go, easy?
Yeah, of course.
Honestly, now MVP and MMA. When you think about it and you think what great players they are, they've won 15 Premier titles between them. To come through a group like this would be great. To top the group 4-0 is just unbelievable. It's magical.
Yeah, actually, if you asked me 2 weeks ago or so, I would say that my chances were pretty low. But I don't know. In the last 2 weeks, I've kind of started to improve my CVT a lot, and I was like, man, I'm really good at this right now. But so I had to try it in versus good people, not only on ladder, in tournaments. And, you know, with this weekend's tournament, it gave me a lot of confidence, and apparently everything went good for me. As you said, I played many mind games that every one of them went pretty well for me. So, yeah, what can I say?
You've just beaten the master of mind games as well. That guy, I mean, MVP has been renowned for playing mind games with a lot of people over the years, and you've just out-mind gamed him.
You just don't play mind games with Spaniard people.
That's right. Don't play mind games with Europeans either. Just the confidence is flowing through you right now. I can feel it coming off you, right? Whether that's 3 Weetabix or not, I don't know. But it feels like you're playing a totally different level of game. I know that you've said it's a mixture of things. It's down to practice and it's down to being able to study more and what have you. But is there any one little thing that you could put your finger on that you've improved drastically in your game?
I think my mechanics, like last year, my mechanics were not top tier. And I guess right now they aren't still the best, but I've improved it a lot. And especially, I guess, in just understanding the game, not doing stupid strategies like I did last year. I mean, I checked my replays from last year and I was like, did I really play like this? And I guess, yeah, understanding how the game works and just trying to watch as many games from other players as I can is helping me a lot to improve my strategies.
Okay, I mean, specifically in game 2 that we just watched, it seemed like you were more patient as well. It was like you were on top of the game, you knew exactly what you were doing, everything was working in your favour. The scans that he made were, they were absolutely fine, but your placement was absolutely brilliant, and he just didn't know he had no idea those mutas were coming. You get the mutas over there, game's going your way, but you don't kind of rush in, I guess, I'm trying hard not to criticise you, but sometimes last year it seemed like you just wanted to get in there and finish it off. Today, much more patience.
Well, actually, I mean, I guess I was patient on the earlier stages of the game, but at the very end of the game, I was like, I have to finish now, and I kept attacking, and for a while I was worried that I would mess up and lose. But yeah, I guess it all came down to him not scouting everything he had to scout early on. He scouted my third base really late. He scouted my Mutalist very late. So yeah, that's it.
GG. Third time in a row in the quarterfinals. What do you need to do to get past that quarterfinals?
I don't know, I guess just being confident with myself, not getting nervous. I mean, I don't really get nervous, but just being confident with my play, not being afraid of doing certain strategies or even going macro games versus players that are theoretically better than me. And yeah, I think that's all about it, just confidence on oneself, and that's it.
Well done. Great games. And VortiX is our first man through to the quarterfinals of WCS Europe Season 1 here in 2014. We will be seeing him again at the weekend, just a few weeks away, of course, and he'll find out very shortly who he's going to play in that quarterfinal. Once we've had the draw from the end of this week, we've still got 3 more days to come of the round of 16, and we've still got more action to come from Group A. Is Sean going to get his wish? Are we going to see an MMA versus MVP game? We'll find out very shortly, because Bunny is back in action to make sure that doesn't happen. We'll see you in a few.